Hey guys, I'm Mike. I'm an HR professor at the Ted Rogers School of Management. In weekly videos, I talk about my toughest old exam questions and solutions so you know how to crush them in my weekly videos. So if you are an HR student or have a big HR exam coming up, hit subscribe, smash like, make sure the notification tab is turned on, and check out my weekly videos to help you succeed in your exams. In this week's video, I'm going to provide 2 old exam questions related to compensation, and I'm going to give you the template for how to solve them. So here we go. So here are the 2 compensation questions that I'm going to be covering today. I'm going to include them here. So take a snapshot, pause it, try these questions, and then let's get into the solutions. All right, so what are we talking about here? Okay, so you recently hired as a general manager at a high-end restaurant in a rural community in Northern Ontario. Okay, so here, so you got to note these like random little nuances I tend to include in some of these. So I hired as a general manager, high-end restaurant, so it's a high-end restaurant, perhaps that matters, rural community, Northern Ontario. That's a little redundancy, rural community, Northern Ontario, that's fine. Over the past few years, the quality of food preparation has decreased, so that looks like performance in my mind. In your new role, you were hoping to turn this around by hiring higher quality employees. Okay, you're hiring. Okay, we're talking about compensation. I hope I selected the right question for this. What benchmark job would you use to make the base for establishing pay for the sous chef and the line cooks? Okay, when we talk about benchmark jobs, they're the most common jobs in an organization. It is a job that's critical to that particular organization. Typically, it's also common to an industry. If we're talking about a restaurant, we're talking about comparison to other cooking-related positions. I think the head chef is probably what we're talking about here. Now, prior to advertising the job opportunity, you need to figure out how much to pay. Okay, so what are the steps? This is pretty standard. Okay, the 3 steps required to establish pay rates. Okay, so 3 marks here. Yeah, 1 mark for each step. There are 4 compensable factors required by pay equity. Okay, which of these 4 is likely to be affected by the fact that I'm working in Northern Ontario? Okay, so what's interesting here is I tell you that there's 4, so you should be able to say the 4. But of those 4, which one seems to be most relevant here, and why? Okay, that's nice. Good question. I like that. It makes you know 2 different things. Makes you identify what are the 4. Straight up regurgitation of your memory, but then applied thinking is why one of them is more relevant. In addition to cash, there are other forms of rewards. I think we're talking about benefits. Please provide 3 examples of a high-end restaurant. Okay, cool. All right, so this seems straightforward. It doesn't seem like there's any real tricks. So let's dive in here. Okay, first, what is the benchmark job? Head chef. Yeah, that's what. There's no real challenge there. What are the 3 steps? So stage 1 is job evaluation. Stage 2 is conduct a wage or salary survey, and then step 3 is combine them. Okay, so in other ways, stage 1 is where you're trying to evaluate, you're trying to find a comparative worth of each job within the organization. So this is the step that really examines like the internal equity in an organization. Okay, so job evaluation is all about taking, I like to think of it like a little questionnaire and running it against every single job in the company. You're not running against an employee, you're running a job. So every job in the company will receive a score. So from head chef to dishwasher to server to general manager to everybody has like a single score, right? So you can compare the relative worth in the organization from the head chef to the dishwasher to the sous chef, right? And you should each get a particular point score. You don't know how much every job is paid, but you know the points, right? So you can like rank every job in terms of its relevant worth in the organization. Step 1. Step 2 is where you compare and you're going outside to get market data. So you're getting data from other organizations, whether you buy that market data or whether you have a survey, send it to the other companies, they fill it out and you get data that way. But that's saying, okay, for the average head chef, what do they get paid in Northern Ontario? For the average sous chef, what do they get paid in Northern Ontario? That kind of idea. And then step 3 is where you're combining those ideas. Okay, so we know that the sous chef has like, the head chef has like 100 points, right, in their score. And the head chef also typically makes, let's just say 100 grand to make it easy. Okay, so based on that, the sous chef who has 80 points, maybe they get like 80,000, right? So like the relative piece of that. I simplified it dramatically, but that's the general idea. Okay, so there are 4 compensable factors. So what are the 4? Did I say the 4? I don't even say the 4 here. That's interesting. Anyways, the big one is the working conditions. Yeah, working conditions, because we're working and living in conditions that might be more challenging or different in a rural community than a comparable center. So a bigger city like Toronto. Okay, so it might be a little bit more isolated. It might be a little more onerous. The rent, might be higher for whatever reason. Things like that. And as a result, you typically be paid a little bit more as a result of working conditions, more difficult working conditions. All right, in addition to cash payments, so these are the other benefits, okay? What other benefits, 3 examples that are consistent with high-end restaurants in Northern Ontario? So I was wanting you to be a restaurant connoisseur when answering this question. Okay, so first off, we're talking about benefits. Benefits are indirect financial payments, so it's something that attracts and retains employees other than compensation. Vacation, yes, perhaps, and I like the idea of not just identifying it. So I only ask 3 examples. You don't have to explain why. That's a poorly written question. I should say explain 3 examples, or explain, why you should include these 3 examples. Why you should provide. Give me an example. Give me 3 examples and explain why they are relevant, and something like that. Vacations, so increased vacation time to visit urban centers. Yeah, I guess we're really focusing on this rural component. If we're talking about a high-end restaurants are also very stressful. You might want to recover from your time working in the restaurant. Yes. Health insurance, working with knives. Yeah, you could cut yourself, right? So health insurance, life insurance. What's the one that's about dismemberment insurance, right? In case you get injured on the job. Yes, absolutely. I think these ones are probably just as relevant. Non-monetary rewards would be personal growth opportunities. So like training classes, or I guess in line with that, you could speak to the idea of you could do paid training classes, like online, like master class, or you could do training classes to visit other restaurants, or frankly, you could do something like you get free food. Right? Oh, I said, meeting famous chef in the area. How many famous chefs are there in Northern Ontario? That's what I want to, that is really what I want to know. All right, so now let's go to question number 2. So you manage a team of salespeople who sell medical devices to hospitals in Toronto. You pay each salesperson. Oh my God, did I give you another commission one here? I really like commission, right? So, okay, so you got a base pay plus 25% commission. There's no mention of target, so I assume you sell anything. Each salesperson is given a region in Toronto to sell devices. One sells devices in Northern Ontario, another one sells in Eastern Toronto. Okay, so recently you noticed some salespeople beginning to sell outside their region in order to make more money. Okay, so that's interesting. So people are motivated to sell more. Perhaps they're dissatisfied with the amount they can sell in their region, or they're more overly ambitious. They want to make more money. Perhaps they're dissatisfied with some aspect of it and they want to make more money. Okay, they can take on more. Describe commission-based pay, straight up definition, no biggie. 2 advantages and disadvantages of commission-based pay. Each one is worth 1 mark, totaling 4, straight up from the textbook, from our slides. Describe one way you could restructure so that compensation is more evenly distributed. Okay, that seems straightforward. If you want to make things more evenly distributed, increase base pay, decrease commission. You could put a cap on the amount somebody can make in terms of commission to provide more opportunities for others. There's lots of ways you can do it. Describe one way you could restructure the pay so that you attract high performers. Anytime we're talking about commission and high performers, you want to increase the commission. If you can't pay any more, you decrease base pay, increase commission, decreased caps, targets, things like that. All right, let's jump into question number 2. Okay, describe commission-based pay straight from the textbook. Compensation based on a % of the product sold. Okay. Part B, discuss 2 advantages and disadvantages. Here is directly from the slides. 2 advantages. They incentivize and attract high performers. They're easy to understand. Right? Those are 2 of the easy ones. Sales cost proportional to sales. Okay. So you only have an expense when that more sales are occurring. Disadvantage, focus on sales, not a customer relationship. As the salesperson, you're really motivated to make more money. And more money is a single transaction rather like solidifying a particular relationship. So you're focusing on the now, short term, rather than the long term. Variance in income for employees, whether this is good or bad, it's listed as a disadvantage, but you know, that's debatable. Okay? It's just the fact that people are unevenly paid, which I guess goes into part C. Describe one way that you could restructure the pay so everyone is paid more evenly. Okay, so group-based pay. Okay, that's a kind of a cool one. Instead of like a single, you know, people are motivated for individual performance, you could say that people are motivated by group performance. And everybody on the team makes the same amount, right? That kind of idea. Penalties for working outside your region. Yes, this is one way to do it. I actually don't like this in hindsight because it's like, you know, fining people. I guess this is like the stick approach rather than the carrot approach. I like the idea of a cap, right? I think a student has actually used this on this particular exam question. Like a cap, say, hey, you can make up to 100 grand, right, through selling. So there's no motivation for you to work anymore outside of your region because you're capped at 100 grand. So that provides more opportunities for other workers to, you know, make those sales. Okay, so it's a softer approach rather than saying, hey, you're gonna get fined. You're gonna get fined for working harder. Describe one you could restructure to attract high performance. Yeah, remove base salary, increase commission. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this question, straightforward commission, high performance. This is like a standard commission related question. All right, guys, that's it. That is my video on compensation. If you found this video helpful or you want to learn more tips on how to succeed in tough HR exam questions, hit subscribe, smash like, make sure notification tab is turned on, and check out my video next week.